good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us again for what is now the fourth and final event in this series of workshops on financial resilience. One thing I want to just say before we start with the scripture is that these workshops have been really successful, and people have asked us if we're going to run them again, and we've decided that we will be running them again. But what I'd like to ask you, I'm going to ask you now, and I'll probably ask you again during the evening, is if you would put in the chat what topics you would like. If you'd like to see us run them again, just tell us what topics you'd like to see us cover. It might be that you might want us to repeat some that we've done already or new things that we haven't, but it'd be really good to make sure that we are responding to your needs, actually, if we're able to do that. So I'm going to just start sharing my screen, and we're going to open with the scripture that we always use that underpin our financial capability workshops. And this is Ecclesiastes 7 verse 12. For the protection of wisdom is like the protection of money, and the advantage of knowledge is that it preserves the life of him who has it. And just to remind you what we're talking about today, we are discussing financial resilience, and we've been talking about up till now 3 aspects of financial resilience. We've covered being smart about money in the first week. In the second week, we covered debt and the credit status. Last week, we talked about legacy planning. And today we're talking about financial planning and budgeting. And all of these topics are key, really, and critical to our what we need, our armor, if you like, to ensure that we are resilient for the future. So we always start with a poll. And Steve, if we launch the poll, can you all see the poll? And the questions for the poll this week are, what is financial planning? And you have 4 multiple choice answers. Is financial planning really retirement planning in it with a different name? Is it a strategy to meet lifetime goals? That's a financial strategy to meet lifetime goals. Is it tax planning? Again, with another name, or all of the above. And look at you, look, I've got it here, look, 100%. Everyone says it's all the above. So that wasn't very hard, was it? That wasn't very hard at all. So I am now going to introduce David Frederick. And David is going to be really running our session this week on financial planning. Over to you, David.
Good evening, and thank you, Elaine. I'm going to start with difference this week. I'm going to go back to where you started with a quote from one of the best books you'll ever find, the Bible. And I'm going to go and use one of my favorite scriptures, 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 4. And I think it goes something like this. He must manage his own household competently and have his children under control with all dignity. The first part says manage his own household competently. Although the Bible says he or his, it refers to he, she, we, it, anybody at all as well, to which ender, whether you're binary, non-binary, in-binary, and whatever and so forth in that respect. So it's about people taking charge and managing their own resources. So financial planning is really the starting point. I like to see it as it's the platform. It's where we start to look at how we prepare for the future, because financial planning is the here and now, the foundation. And the starting point is, as always, like on any journey, where are you? What is your location? What is your position? You're going on a journey, starting from where? That's important. Whether you're super wealthy, you're super broke, or in between, or haven't got a clue. It's where are you? I think it's Kirk Franklin says, you're at a crossroads. What do you do? Okay, so you're at a crossroads. And it's about also being at a crossroads, asking yourself, what is, forget about your goals, your ADHD, your aspirations, your dreams, your hopes and desires. What is it you want to achieve? And that's what we're going to. It's really about your lifetime requirements and how we're going to get there through a process. And because it's financial, setting it out in financial planning terms, it's about your ins and your outs. And lots of people are obsessed about how much they earn during their lifetime. And over the last 30 odd years, okay, I have no interest in what people earn, because what concerns me is what people get to keep. And we saw last week, pass on to their loved ones, legacy planning. But before you can pass anything on, you must first keep. And to keep anything, you must have a game plan, and you must be able to exercise some form of discipline. It's important. You mustn't have that desire to want to be obsessed by spending. And I think they say in the Caribbean that you must always hand your hat where your hand can reach. If the hat goes too high, you can't reach it. And I think they also say if you live on an income of £100 a month, you can't spend £105 a month. I think you find that in Copperfield, as Dickens as well too. Yep. Earn £100, spend £105, misery. Earn £100, spend £95, happiness. It's as simple as that. It's not the size of what you have, it's understanding, as it says in 1 Timothy 3:4, he must manage his own household competently. That's competently managing your household in that respects. You can't overspend continually and think it'll be fine. I know it's fashionable now. People talk about being financially empowered. I want to be financially free. Well, you can't be financially free if you're spending what you haven't got, or being a sports person if you're batting outside of your batting crease in cricket. It's important to understand you have goals, dreams, aspirations. How are you achieving those? Also, what's your relationship with money? Because I keep telling people, money worries is not our problem. Money worries isn't important. Full stop. The issue is people's relationship, miseducation, poor education, lack of education of money, or understanding how money operates, because money is merely a commodity. And often when I speak to the Amen group on a Saturday with the ICANN, I say money is like butter. Yeah, it's only useful if it's spread. You try sitting on butter, what happens? You go straight down. It's true, Elaine, you're smiling, okay? But if you spread your butter on your crackers, if you like me, or your bread, or anything fancy, it adds value. But just having it there, okay, has no value. So think about it. I mean, finance is not complicated, but people often overcomplicate it. Also, finance isn't being good with maths. Because I've met many people who can't read or count and so forth, but are great at finances. Okay. For example, I've got a great young lady who lives in Thornton Heath. She's got no O levels, no GCSE, no PhD. She's just rank and file, got PhD in common sense. Yep. However, when she takes her children out, her grandchildren out, unlike her daughter-in-law, who's a supporter of fast food chains, she knows they're going out. Before they go out, she buys chicken or meat for them and prepares it. She buys drinks and prepares it. And when they go out, they have as good a time as anybody else. However, because she knows she's got a limited budget, she doesn't go and spend. And she does the same thing, she says, when she's buying things for her house. She goes out to the shop, see what it costs, see she can pay it down on credit and so forth, and does her budget, and see she can overpay a bit. So it's not complicated, finances and so forth. You don't need a PhD or degree or anything, or an ology and so forth. What you do need is understand money is a commodity. It enables you to do things if you have it. Also, too much money can also be dangerous for you as well too. And understand your spending. How many times during lockdown, when you were bored, nothing to do, you go through your bank statements and identify things you've been spending money on for the last 10,000 years and don't know what it is? I had an experience last year. Met a young lady over in Dulwich, and she was fascinating. She wouldn't pay £2.50 to park in a car park, although on the day it was free. But when we began to go through a bank statement, she asked me, "Oh, Dave, what's that £75 for on her bank statement?" I don't use a bank statement. She didn't know. So she won't pay £2.50 yet, but she wouldn't be paid £75 every month for the last X amounts a month, not knowing what it's for. And that's what we see all the time. Yet lots of people are obsessed about price. They're price foolish, yet, and value senseless. Yet understand price and value different things. Yet understand how to look after and manage your resources. When you're spending, is it essential? Elaine and me often talk about the 5 whys. Why? What I like about the 5 whys, the PCU shadow board, young people, you know, the people you hear about in the media who are not so good, the young people, when we spoke, they advised me one of the strategies about budgeting is have the 5 whys before you spend. How many of you love to buy a bargain? Buy one, get 45 free. Yep. Dog food, and you haven't got a dog, just in case you have a dog. I know that kind of behavior and so forth. Is it really a bargain? Do you need it? If you don't have it, will you be any less off? Any worse off? Will it affect you? Perhaps not. The sad reality I tell people is people of my parents' generation lived on very little, and they did quite a lot. Because why? The first thing they did with their money is send some money back home to the family. Yep. How many of you have children and they won't pay anything towards housekeeping because it's their rights? Yep. They have no rights. Pitch them out. Okay. That your parents, yeah, I'm true. They have no rights. Okay. Your parents would send money back home to granny and so forth, or to your brother and sister. They would pay their rent. They'd get their travel. They'd put them in a partner. They'd give some tithe to the church. Then they would live. Most of them, 99.9% of them, lives on no credit card. Yep. But they saved via the partner. Most people now have lots of money, earn lots of money, and have nothing at all. And that's a sad reality. Yet they have so much, they plan less. They're not financially aware, yet they want to be financially empowered. It's easy to say, but it requires something to do. Also, do you know where your money comes from? Do you understand where your money comes from? Those of you who are in employment, how many of you know what your tax code is? Oh, Dave, it's the same every month. Yeah, it could be the wrong same every month. Because your tax code determines how much lifestyle you have. It drives how much you take home. But I'm often intrigued to know how many employees never read their pay slip. It's on a portal somewhere, Dave. I don't know, whatever and so forth. Yet, because very blasé, yet they want to be financially empowered. Yet, or budgeting. Well, when I was younger, I used to be a bit more rotund. And when I was 13, it's true, Elaine, I was rotund, or just fat, sorry. Let's cut out the PC, not and at 13, I was on a diet. And diet's fascinating because I learned on a diet to record all the things I ate. Perhaps that helped me in my financial journey, because if you're going to be financially savvy, one of the things you must do goes and don't cheat, because then you only cheat and deceive yourself. I know it's boring, it's dull, but excellence is repeated behavior every day, not a one-off. So financial planning is a whole lifetime process which you need to put in place to retain things, to enable you to pass things on, and then
So this is the parts of the evening where we go into the questions, and I'm going to kick off. I'm going to ask David a few questions, but please, if you have any questions on that particular topic, please type your questions into the chat, and Marcia will tell us what the questions are. So my first question to you, David, is, so I've listened to you this evening, and I think, actually, I think I ought to do a bit of that financial planning. Where do I start? How do I start?
Start recognizing, I would say tonight, recognizing where you are. So look at what you have in terms of what's your goal? What is it you're trying to achieve? Okay, write it down. Yeah. If you don't write it, you won't achieve it. It'll be in your head floating around, all the other stuff, day-to-day life. So write it down. So what's your goal? What's your dream? Yeah, and work back from that. I want to be financially free. Okay, that's your long-term goal. Let's work back. Okay, so where are we now? Okay, what's my current position? I'm employed or unemployed. I have X amount of income coming in. Yeah, but moreover, take some time out to see, forget the income, ask yourself, where does your money go? Because that's a frightening thing that will explain to you where your money goes. Because most people, okay, have no idea where their money goes. And they're quite shocked when they realize, oh, I spent so much money on this. During lockdown was a godsend for some people.
Yeah.
They saved money on the coffee, the latte in the morning, the sandwich in the morning, the latte at lunch, the lunch, the meals after work, and X, Y, and Z. One person told me, okay, she saved £3,000 in some period in lockdown. A chap down the road from me saved £80 in lockdown. Yeah. By not spending money frivolously, ask yourself, is it essential? Break your money down into essential or committed expenditure, like rent, travel, your tithes, things you must do, rather than the luxury spend. Okay. I was out the other week, and a lady says that her dog eats organic chicken. And a friend of mine said, I need to move in with you because your dog's better off than me. You know, dog eats organic chicken. Each to their own, I say, really. So ask yourself, where does your money go? Is it essential? Yeah. How much fast food do you have? I mean, I find it remarkable during lockdown, seeing how busy people like McDonald's are delivering food to people's homes. Because I thought fast foods you ate on the street if you were desperate. But now it's a main staple of our diet. Some people is essential in that respect. The luxuries, must you have it now? Is, again, the key word is essential. Essential. I think I live in a time of the here and now. And I tell people life hasn't changed, because you're born, you live, and you die. That hasn't changed. What's changed, okay, is behavior of individuals in that framework. But life itself hasn't changed. We want it all now. Well, you ask any farmer, farming hasn't changed. because the day you plant the seed isn't the day you reap the harvest. I've been doing some biology reading as well too, and my mum said to me, okay, the day I was conceived wasn't the day I was born. I thought, that's fascinating. You know, so exact same thing. Think about it. Yeah. What's your goal now? Where are you? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve? And set in motion a series of small steps to achieve your goal.
That's really good. So you would say then that the financial plan is like planting the seed. If we're going to stay on the, the farming kind of analogy, would you say it's like planting the seed?
Planting the seed, being on that diet, documenting things down.
Yeah. You know what? One of the things you said, David, was about, and you mentioned it a few times. You said, "Is it essential?" Well, to a person like me, I've got an abundance mindset, as you know, in terms of money, and I like a bit of non-essential sometimes. Well, actually, maybe too much. I like a bit of non-essential. So, do I build my non-essential into my financial plan? Can I do that?
You can, providing it doesn't take away your essentials. Give an example, okay? If I go down to Penge, there's a estate in Penge, short housing estate in Penge, okay, small blocks. And if I was quite business-like, really, every day I can make money renting out the Lexus, the BMW, and the Merc that's parked there, because the owners of those cars work at Camberwell Bus Garage. They don't drive them. Those cars are on finance, but they tell me regularly, okay, they're struggling with their rent. They're struggling with their children. If you're struggling with your rent and your children, do you need a Lexus and such likes? I know it's about popping star, as they say in regular parlance and so forth, but something about life isn't so important. Yeah. And one thing I learned being a parent is you teach children from the start, okay, how they mean to go on. I think George Benson says, I believe the children are our future, teach them right and let them lead the way. And I was a really bad parent, hands up, okay? My children weren't going to be advertising boards for Nike, whatever, and so forth. And if you meet my eldest daughter, she will say to you, Dad bought these white training shoes from Costco, okay? And she said, because those training shoes, she developed a love for running. Yeah. But we're talking about the other day. She said, Dad, it was quite good, in fact, because in the end, no one worried about it. I said, but aren't you better off for it now as well, too? You see, so sometimes we have ideas in our head that we think are essential, but you must know what's right for you.
Yeah.
What I tell people, if you have a penchant for nice things, okay, don't complain when you haven't bought the essentials, because it's nobody to blame but yourself. I think that's people say, look for the hero inside yourself.
Yes.
Start with self. Yep. Understanding yourself, understanding your relationship with money. Are you someone who has no regard for money and just spends and hope and pray on the day it will come good? Because it won't come good on the day. Yep. So I don't mind you having a desire to buy things. I like nice things. No one likes a pen more than me. I love Mont Blanc pens. It's my illness. Yeah. But I see it in context in that respect.
Absolutely. Thank you, David. Marcia, have we got any questions?
We've got a couple.
Yeah.
The first question is from Audrey Brotherson. And David, she said that you spoke about the 5 whys. Can you please let us know what those 5 whys are?
Yeah, you ask yourself 5 times, why are you buying this? It's just going through the exercise yourself each time. Why are you buying it 5 times? Yeah. If you can't justify it to yourself, okay, perhaps you do not need it. Yeah, perhaps you don't need it. And that's something Elaine will also say to you, that the young people at the PCU Shadow Board have got built into them, and they shared with me, young people as well too, and it's part of our financial training and planning with them.
Okay. So really, that is about asking yourself, why do I need this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we ask ourselves why not? Or why should I not buy it?
I tell you what, for example, Marcia.
I'm just joking.
Marcia, let's say you go to Sainsbury's to buy the dog food, okay? Buy one, get 4 free, okay? Yeah, you might buy a dog next year. Okay. Meanwhile, okay, you come home, you got loads of dog food in the house stacked up. Okay.
I hear you. Mara has asked, David, you recommended Rich Dad, Poor Dad in one of the sessions. What do you find financially sound in that text? Where does the narrative in the book sit with what you've presented to us, and Elaine as well, over the last 4 sessions?
The whole book is fundamentally a great starting point, understanding how the rich dad and the poor dad behaves, and the relation to money and money relationship, employment, the quadrant in there, employment, self-employment and investment and so forth as well too. Yeah, generating additional income, not being a slave to money as well too. Yeah, if you read the whole book, it's very good. And sadly, I was told it's an excellent book by my daughter when she was young. She said, Dad, that's what transformed my life at 13. Because at 16, she formed her first company as a rebellious streak against me to not get a Saturday job.
Okay, smart lady. Another question is from Miss Barrett. She said, since lockdown and the move to cashless purchases, she's noted there's less control and spending because we just keep tapping. As a result of that, how could we better monitor our spending of non-essential during these times? And what would you suggest to get a better grasp on the risk of excessive spending?
Whether you tap or don't tap, the person who taps is you, and you're in control. Tapping only comes at the end of a process. Yeah, so it starts with you picking up something, bring it to a counter and tapping, or you going online and seeing something and tapping. So if you think about the 5 whys, do you need that? You might not do it, or alternatively, you might want to spend some time on a monthly basis going through your bank statement or your credit card statement and identifying on the statement your transactions, how much is essentials and how much is non-essentials in your mindset. And then you must decide for yourself, what is your money relationship? What's your priorities? Because by looking at someone's bank statement, you can tell how they live. You can tell why they are where they are, how they are, why they are.
Okay. David, could you please repeat the definition of financial ADHD?
Yeah, I mean, that's something I live by on my website, okay? And it's about your aspirations, your dreams, your hopes and desires. I know in education, they've got it mixed up in education. It means something else in education, okay? So avoid that. It's about your aspirations. Yep. What do you want? Your dreams, your big dreams, your hopes and your desires. That's what dictates your behavior patterns, or I think has a great part in influencing your behavior patterns. If you haven't got aspirations, dreams, hopes and desires, well, you might want to cultivate some or have some.
Okay, that's it for now.
Thank you, Marcia. So, David, my second question is, as you know, I have struggled to stick to a budget, in my lifetime. What strategies can I use to help to stick to my budget? And do you think that having a financial plan, which my budget is part of, would help me to stick to my budget, if you understand what I mean? So if I'm planting this seed for the future and I want it to look like that, and I'm committed to that vision, which that plan would be, will that help me to stick to my budget when I think sometimes I'd like to spend a little bit more on this? You know, what's going to help me to do it? Does that help, or is there something else, other strategies I can use?
Well, I think it can, but let's take the budget analogy and let's move back to Dave at 13 and a half, okay? Dave being overweight and so forth, yeah? And Dave wanting to play school rugby and so forth, yeah? And the only way it was going to work, okay, if I stick to the plan laid down by the dietitian. I mean, yes, every now and again I can cheat and have a chocolate cake and whatever, okay? But if I tore up the dietitian's plan, okay, I wouldn't realize my goal to play club rugby for the school. So likewise, okay, it depends on how serious you are, how committed you are, and how much you want it. It all depends upon the self. So a budget is there as a guide to help you. And if you stick to it, it'll be great. I would ask people who are driving around London, do you stick to 20-mile-per-hour zones speeds? If you don't, you will soon be at 12 or 13 points and lose your license. Yeah. So if you stick to something that's imposed upon you, why can't you impose upon yourself self-discipline? When most time, and this is important, parents tell children, do as I say, do as I say, do this, do the other, and so forth. But you're the same one who are not showing any leadership or guidance yet. Remember what it says in 1 Timothy, he must manage his own household competently. Yep.
Yeah.
Not my words, that's in the Bible. Basic instructions before you leave Earth. It's down in black and white. So therefore, think about it. Document your spending like you would with a diet. Yep. Try and cut out impulsive spending or impulsive buying. Not straight away because it's difficult. Wean yourself off it. Yeah, because that's your drug. That's your addiction. Gradually. Yeah. Try that. Yep. Understand that you are on a money diet. Yep. In stages. Examine your bank statements to see where your money's going. And lots of people get accustomed to reading your pay slip to start off with, is your pay right? Is your tax code right? Your tax code drives how much money you take home. It might be wrong as well too. So a budget can be a stricture or straitjacket. You might want to break out every now and again, but by and large, it should provide you the guidelines upon which you actually run your life. It's a bit like the 10 Commandments and the Bible as well too. If you're a Christian, okay, and you don't like the Bible, well, there might be some challenge in your mindset. Yep. You want to be financially free and empowered, and you don't like budgeting. There's a contradiction there. I find I'm struggling. Please help me. In that context. Yeah. So there are little things you can do. Yeah. Pace yourself with it and so forth. Try it a week at a time. Yep. How much did I spend today? This week. Yep. Or you can have treats for yourself as well too. You might have a treat on a Saturday or Wednesday or whatever as well. Yep. So help yourself. Don't just go into actually straitjacket from being from spending constantly to suddenly I can't spend. Yep. Pace yourself. Do it step by step.
Excellent. Thank you, David. So you're telling me that I need to be more responsible. I certainly understand that, and be more accountable. But I'm really glad that you will allow me a bit of you allow me some treats, like on a Saturday or something like that. I can buy those shoes occasionally.
That's right. Because none of us are perfect.
None,
yeah, not even me. Okay, I've got to push on for chocolate bars, 2 at a time. I mean, one just can't do it. It's got to be 2 at a time. I know some of my friends don't like chocolate bars, or they like plain chocolate, but I detest plain chocolate. It hasn't got that.
You've never lived. I've loved plain chocolate.
No,
Anyway, we'll move away from chocolate and come to Marcia for questions, Marcia, that we have from our attendees.
I think everyone's fascinated by what's been said because there's no questions at this present moment in time. So whatever David is saying is hitting the mark. Okay,
excellent. So I'm going to ask my next question then, David. Is it ever too late to start financial planning? I mean, I might have gone all of these years and never thought about it, you know, and at this age now, or, you know, is it too late for me?
In a nutshell, I would say it's never too late for anybody at all. You can still make steps. You can still achieve it. I saw on my TV the other day a man of, was he 97, 94, just graduated from university arts degree. Yeah, and he said you're never too old. So no, financial planning, okay, it's not an age thing. Hopefully, the earlier you start, the better it is for you in that respect, because the best time was yesterday. The next best time is today and not tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah? But don't think, because you're as old as Dave Frederick and so forth, it's too late for you. It's never too late for you. Every day is a learning day. Yeah, every day is a learning day. Yeah, not an exam day, a learning day. So make little steps to be better today than you were yesterday, step by step, and you can do it. Just make small changes. I'm not saying the large changes. Small. Start by, for example, reading your bank statement rather than starting with a budget. Just look at it, see where your money goes. Read your pay slips as well. Talk to other people about money. Talk to the children about money. Yeah. Don't let money be taboo.
Yes.
It shouldn't be taboo. Yeah. It's a commodity. Okay.
Yeah.
So these are the things. Ask yourself, one day or day one? One day or day one? Which would it be for you? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
One day may never come, but day one is today. Yeah. So in terms of starting, you can start straight away by doing little things. What I've mentioned can be broken down. And I did say to you, you set your goals, your big goals, but you work backwards and you chunk it down.
Yes.
Yeah, in bite size, what you can do for yourself, what you find is manageable. There is no one size that fits all.
Yeah. Can I ask, David, one thing, and you know, you and I have spoken about this before, because we said that the financial plan includes the tax plan, includes the legacy planning, and inheritance. Inheritance. And in inheritance around that, I'm talking now about inheritance tax. We spoke a bit about that last week. At what point do you think, if I've never thought about inheritance tax and, you know, I've come to a certain age and you know that, you know, there are these time limits around it, you know, if you have to live 7 years or something after you've done the inheritance tax, at what point would you say it's too late for inheritance tax to actually really be making a plan around inheritance tax that's going to be of any value to me and to my children?
It's never too late. What it might be, you might get less opportunities the older you are and so forth in inheritance tax planning, and that's why it's great to start sooner rather than later. And I think one of the best times to start thinking about planning inheritance tax planning is as soon as you start having a family or get married, and key life changes as well too. Or we have an army of people around who are acquiring property and they're just buying property, and they're not thinking that they're walking into capital gains nightmare and also an IHT nightmare as well too. You know, and have they planned and thought it out? Yeah, and also to have inheritance liabilities, that assumes as well too you've been doing two things during your lifetime. You've been saving and then investing. The two are different things. They're not the same. Yep. Saving is money you're putting aside for deferred gratitude. Investing is money you're putting aside or putting into something for return for the future
Yeah.
and hoping you get a return.
Yeah.
So understanding that part of financial planning is understanding your resources. And in planning your resources, you chunk off a bit on a regular basis, hopefully before you see your money for savings. Then you graduate from savings into investing. And then you're starting on that journey, because I said to you last week, okay, that financial planning is for this generation. Estate planning is for the next generation. And legacy planning is for future generations. So you can't plan for the future if this generation isn't sorted.
Yeah.
And to sort this generation out, you start with a foundation, as I said at the beginning, to start to actually understand where your money's coming from and where it's going to. Are you saving? Then are you investing? Yep. All of that's linked to what's your long-term goal.
Yes.
Yep. Your why. And we said last week, I think we said last when we actually cracked something for you, and I said last week, don't give things to your children, leave them access to things. It's quite different.
Yeah. Yeah. Capital gains. You talked about the capital gains nightmare. What's the capital gains nightmare, David?
Well, capital gains nightmare in terms of residential property was introduced by the government last year. For example, if you sell property and make a gain above 12,300 in a year, you've got to pay your capital gains tax inside 30 days. That's the tax legislation. But people are acquiring properties and don't understand that when they dispose of properties at higher value, there's capital gains tax to pay. And the capital gains tax is also linked to your earnings as well too. And you're paying tax at 28%. And some people haven't got in place a strategy to protect themselves or to cover the capital gains tax. And if you're building up a portfolio of property and unfortunately you don't make it to the end of the journey, 5 properties at £400,000, okay, leaves quite an interesting inheritance tax liability.
Yeah.
Plus your main residence, plus your cash in the bank and so forth. Yep, we see it every day. So there's one thing thinking about, yes, let's become property tycoons and so forth, but it must be part of a strategy long term, and recognize if you're involved in investment, the tax planning is also part of the strategy. Yeah. Tax is a way of life. So how will you build your portfolio, build your legacy planning for the future by also recognizing that tax is part of it as well too? Hence why you must also have in your team an accountant, a financial advisor, and a legal person. You know, which brings me to a discussion I had this afternoon with a young lady about a trust. The trustees were trying to look after this trust based on knowledge of one of the trustees, and asked her, is the trustee qualified in accountancy, taxation, or the law? No, he's a teacher. Well, he might be a great teacher, but he doesn't understand the mechanics of trust, you know. And I asked her, would he do his mum's brain surgery whilst reading a book or looking at Google? Because most people rely on Google. It's a university now. Google's really great, they tell me. I never use it because it can't answer back when I ask them a deep question. You know? So that's me. I'm old school. You know, I like to appoint the person who does the job in hand, you know, because DIY is the biggest killer in the home. Do it yourself. Yeah. And it's the biggest reason why people lose money by doing it yourself rather than assigning yourself or attaching yourself to the right person.
Thank you, David. Marty, have we got any questions? I think we probably have.
Yeah, we have got a couple. One is from Mara, which was about, she states, I share Elaine's leniency regarding family stroke children. that has meant that even though I at one point used to save regularly, the money eventually gets used on family, and so it goes. How can you work around this kind of commitment?
It depends upon where, depends on the household, how much income's in the household, how many children in the household, and needs and wants. Because having a family, you go through a period of struggle. Anybody who's had children, or like me, had 3 under 5s, okay, you know it's a great struggle. Yeah. And again, it's part of your strategy, okay? The children won't be under 5s all the time. So you can do things in stages, and you can start from day one by talking to the children about money and resources. Yep. And because you have children, it doesn't always mean you'll have no money. It's about using your money wisely. I told you about my colleague in Thornton Heath with the grandchildren. Yeah, the daughter-in-law takes the children out, and they will patronize KFC, Burger King, whatever, and so forth. Granny goes out, and before she goes out, she's bought her chicken, she's looked after it and so forth, and bought the drinks. So when they go out, they don't patronize anything at all. So that family has a better control of their finances. It's about understanding how you relate to your money. It's your money relationship. There's nothing wrong with helping your children. What is wrong, okay, is having no control of your finances, then moaning and groaning. Yep. I'm telling people, take responsibility, because we all make choices. I had 3 children. I know what it's like. I went to Harrow one day to buy a pair of shoes myself. I bought 3 pairs of shoes for my 3 children and none for myself yet. But that's what you do as a parent. But over time, okay, it does change. It does improve, providing you have a game plan and don't just want to spend and give it out all the time, because you can't.
Thank you, David. Marcia, any others?
Yeah, another question is crypto, that's from Anne, is crypto a good vehicle for investment to get a return?
It is, if you understand it. My take on it is quite straightforward. As someone who sits on investment panels for organization, okay, I don't get involved in cryptocurrency because I don't understand it. In the future, it might be, but I've seen lots of the pain with cryptocurrencies, and the volatility to me is too great. So I see it, and I tell people it's good for some people. It's not good for me, because I'm very old school. I only dabble with what I understand, and I haven't spent time enough to understand crypto. So it probably is a good vehicle, providing you understand it, because crypto and Forex, the latest fashion in the community and so forth, I find it quite interesting. So I tell people Forex is nothing new. I was playing Forex for local authorities back in September 1983. It's not a new thing. But what they see now in the Forex market, it's not really Forex. It's multi-level marketing. Equally so, yeah, I dare say crypto investment is good. Yep, and it will reach its actual state of maturity. But my thoughts is, recently on one of my large public boards, we chastise our investment brokers for putting our money in cryptocurrency.
Yeah, because it's unregulated.
Yeah, so it's not good enough for my board, but I do like the bravery of some of the community who don't understand investments, but it's good for them because their friend made a return on it last week and not the week after. So it's probably a good thing. It is a good thing, perhaps, but for me, I don't advise on it and I don't understand it. So for now, I park it to one side in that respect.
So it's worth knowing that crypto is unregulated. And just for information, and this is just for information, the Financial Conduct Authority has described it and warns heavily against it and has described it as near to gambling. I mean, you know, lots of investments, vesting anyway, some people think, well, it's a bit of a gamble, but so volatile is cryptocurrency at this time that the Financial Conduct Authority warns heavily against it. We're not allowed to do it, for instance. Anyway, it's unregulated activity. But you know, it may change. I understand that the Bank of England have got a working group looking at crypto, looking at some form of cryptocurrency or that kind of currency in the UK, but they're just looking at it now. You know, there's a lot of caution around it, actually. And it crashed the other day, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do tread carefully, I tell people.
Yeah. Any other questions?
There's a question. What is your opinion on stocks and shares ISA?
Okay. My opinion is very aggressive. I mean, as someone who likes stocks and shares, and I'll be quite honest, I introduced my children to stocks and shares when they were 13 and 14, because I decided we'll stop playing this Christmas toys rubbish, and we'll start to use money to understand finances. So we played the imaginary portfolio, where they choose 4 stocks and monitor that. Then after a while, they were given £100 to put into some stocks. And my little baby, who's now 29, and I always remember her quote to me, "Dad, I lost money on ITV shares, but I understand why now, because I didn't understand its model." Yeah, but she is a great advocate of playing stocks and shares. Yeah, stocks and shares are great, providing you recognise it's money you may not get back. You can't play stocks and shares with money that you want. It's investment. It can go up and it can go down, sometimes down for a long time. For example, I look after a small portfolio of 32 UK stocks, and about probably last May this time, when I read the actual portfolio, we were on our face down, almost out of the water. Yeah, because it was depressing. Recently, it's all turned the other way around. We're now face up, looking at the sunshine in that respect. Yeah, because it turns. The market does turn like that. So it can be a good thing for some people, but all these things, you must take guidance and advice. Yeah, and don't just go into it. Equally so, it's like like share ISAs. You can save money in share ISAs if you want to, whereby the fund managers invest the money for you. But here's where I differ. I'm a bit bolder, and I like share ISAs, but I buy the shares myself because I've played the game long enough in the marketplace. I tell people, so I understand the risk I'm up for, so I'm prepared to do that. Whereas a new investor, I would say, don't do that. Go and get yourself skilled in understanding the marketplace rather than diving straight in, because it's a bit like water. I mean, I can't swim. So when I see water, I go the other way just in case I fall in and drown. And shares ISA are quite similar. It can be risky.
Thank you, David. Any other questions, Marcia?
No.
Right, okay. So actually, we are 2 minutes to 8. So we're coming to the end. I'll just remind you again, please, tell us what you'd like us to, if we run these workshops again, tell us what you'd like us to talk about, like us to discuss. This is the point at which I just tell you a bit about the Pentecostal Credit Union, those of you that don't know us. We are a financial cooperative, really a community bank, providing low-cost loans and, of course, savings with actually pretty good returns on interest to our members. Our members come from the Pentecostal faith community across the whole of the country, across the whole of the UK. We're not located in any one place. Our head office is in South London, but we work across the whole country. And I thought I'd just say very quickly, David mentioned our Youth Shadow Board. And for those of you who don't know about the Youth Shadow Board, one of the things that we do as a credit union is one of the things the Credit Union Act actually says that credit unions are supposed to do is to educate their members in the wise use of money and to provide development programs and things. Our financial capability workshops are exactly that. But what we also have is we have a long-term leadership development program for our junior savers, and that is our junior savers aged 11 to 18. We've been running it for 5 years. In fact, it's their 5th birthday this year. We started it in 2016, and the same group of young people that started then are still with us now. Some of them past 18 and have left off, but basically what we do with our Youth Shadow Board is we work with them to develop their leadership skills. They're young people who already have leadership aspirations. So we just work with them to develop their skills. So we do things like with them, building their confidence really in terms of debating and managing and governance and things like that. But one of the first things we taught them was all about money. So our Youth Shadow Board are a group of young people who know all about money. And one of the things that they do is they actually go around, or they were before lockdown, going around to other church organisations and teaching other young people in their peer group about money. So the 5 whys was something that Dave talked about. They've got that, they know about that. They know about thinking about what before you spend, how you do it. So that's just one of our member development programs, and a very successful one. So we're at the end now. I'm just going to thank you again for joining us. If you're interested in the Pentecostal Credit Union, those of you who are here who are not members, you can find us online. Just go to www.pcuuk.com, very simple, www.pcuuk.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, and we're on Instagram. So we have pretty active social media, and the telephone number is 0208 673 2542 if you want to call us. Thank you again for joining us for this. This is our last in this series. It's been amazing, actually. I'm actually quite surprised how good it's been. Not that we didn't think it would be good, we did think it would be good, but it's been even better, and we've really enjoyed it. We have absolutely enjoyed it. In fact, I'm going to miss you, David and Steve and Marcia, every Thursday at 6:30 for a little while, It's become a little team, aren't we? It's been great. It's been wonderful. And it's been wonderful engaging with all of you. And those of you who have stayed with us really from the first session right through to this one, bravo, well done. Thank you very much. And you will hear from us on future programs, because we are definitely going to run these again. These were amazing. We're going to look at what you tell us about, what you'd like us to talk about, and we're going to do that. So thank you again, and goodbye.